The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those knuckleheads of liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We are coming to you on March 23rd, 2022. So a little more than a year into the Biden administration, everything seems to be falling apart, especially for the Democrats too. Right now, the focus is all on the courts, and that's what we're going to be talking about this episode. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In upper right-hand corner, we have our screaming eagle of freedom, Tim Everett. He is a pilot in the state of California. My name's Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So let's jump right into it. The Supreme Court pick, Biden. It's hard to imagine him not messing something up. As he goes into the Supreme Court nomination, he literally comes out. The very first thing he says is, "I am going to nominate a Black woman." So, I mean, it's, he could have easily diffused all this just by saying, "I'm going to go out and find a qualified pick." And if that's what he really wanted was a Black woman, then he could have picked that.
You got to pick it in silence. Exactly.
He literally came out and he told everybody, "I am going to pick a Black woman." So, which is actually, that probably runs afoul of a lot of the hiring and discrimination laws we have in this country. I mean, maybe this whole court, maybe if his pick gets appointed, maybe that'll all come back to the Supreme Court so they can decide if he broke the law in appointing her.
Yeah. I wonder how she would vote on that question.
Yeah. But anyway, so Biden has come out with his pick, and she is currently going through the process with the Congress to vet her.
Senate confirmation, yes.
Yeah, so the Senate confirmation hearings. And, so we have, a little bit of interesting stuff starting to come out. And maybe I could get the image up here, too, for this one. So this is a picture of our nominee, and I can't remember her name. Leon, do you remember her name? It's
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
That's it. I knew Jackson, but the print was a little too small on the article for my screen. But anyways, so the point is, he appointed her, and it's I'm not sure that we necessarily would have expected anything great coming from a Biden appointee. But, for the most part, it didn't sound too bad before she went into the hearing. But something surfaced today, or no, it came out in the news today, and I think it surfaced in the questioning yesterday. And that's that apparently she had, so they were trying to essentially defuse the whole CRT, critical race issue that has been sort of stinging the Democrats since they've been sort of pushing this kind of toxic racial division in our schools and employment and other places. And so I think the Democrats sort of wanted to distance her from any of this. And so they set her up with a question saying, "Hey, look, have you had any experience with CRT in your as you've been a judge, or have you had to rule on anything, or has that influenced any of your decisions?" And she emphatically came out and said no. And so then this was followed up by Ted Cruz starting to ask some questions. And Ted Cruz actually, he came out and tried to explore a little more closely with her the CRT angle, and what she knows about it and everything else. And she said, "Hey, look, this is not something that's involved in any of my decisions, and as a judge, and so I really don't know that much about it." And then he pulls out a speech where she had apparently cited CRT in the speech that she gave to Leon was telling me the University of Michigan, I think it was.
It was the University of Michigan, yes.
Yeah, and so right away she seems to be contradicting herself, and then I guess there was also another person who she had endorsed before, who's only I think you said his name was Bell, Leon.
Derek Bell.
Derek Bell, yeah, and I guess his main notoriety is the fact that he is a CRT proponent. so the fact that she's kind of claiming to have this no connection with CRT, sort of disinterest of it, it's starting to look like she might have lied going right into these hearings. So it's funny. I mean, it's not that if she'd just come out and said, yeah, this is what I think. I don't think it would have surprised anybody if she said, yeah, I'm for CRT, because that's what you would absolutely expect from a Biden pick. But the fact that she's lying or might have lied here really starts to raise some significant concerns that you're going to put somebody on the court who's literally lying during their, confirmation hearings. So you guys want to jump in on this whole racial identity stuff and picking our justices and the potential problems that the nominee is running into?
Well, she's gonna lie her way. I mean, the Democrats have the numbers, so they're probably gonna get her through to the Supreme Court. But this thing is such racist garbage. It's unbelievable. Biden said he's gonna pick a black woman. He went out and he picked a black woman, and then the Democrats are trying to tell us, oh, she's eminently qualified. So which is it? Did he pick her because she's a black woman, or did he pick her because she's eminently qualified?
Well, she's eminently qualified as black and a woman, which is a big deal nowadays, because what it means to be a woman is apparently.
Well, there is even an issue. Apparently, we have lost him. There's even an issue about her and woman. Senator Blackburn, senator from Tennessee, asked her if she could define what is the definition of a woman. Well, she said she's not a biologist, so she cannot define what a woman is. No, this is a woke garbage that we're going to have on the court, right? These are the people who are going to make rulings that are going to affect our lives. And this woman can't define what a woman is. This woman believes in CRT. This one believes in some of the woke garbage of the left. And this person is going to end up on the court. The only saving grace out of this, apparently, is that so far, her getting on the court will not change the ideological makeup of the court. It will not. But it does raise some real concerns if Biden get any more picks. I mean, the kind of people he's going to be putting out there is not people that we want making decisions that's going to affect us and affect our daily lives. This is really problematic.
Well, and you raise a great point. I mean, can you imagine if you were able to have a conversation with the founding fathers, Ben Franklin or George Washington? You say, well, we're potentially going to have people nominated to the court who might not be able to define what a woman is. And that's going to be a question that comes up.
Well, I really wish, Marsha Blackburn, senator from Tennessee, as I said, she is the one who asked her about the definition, and she said she could not. So I wanted Marsha Blackburn. I really wish she did say, well, are you a woman? I really wish she did.
Yes. No, that would be a great question. Are you a woman, and how do you know, right?
How do you know? Exactly.
Well, Tim, what do you think? Is she a woman?
I don't know. Are we still on that subject about?
Yes, we're still talking about the nomination.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit closer inspection to know for sure, but I could probably be pretty sure once I had the closer inspection. I'm not sure that's ever going to come about, however. So I just wanted to say before I was unceremoniously interrupted that these people, these politicians should have aides and advisors that have read The Art of War, because in that, the first thing you do is you don't broadcast your intentions. Okay. you just don't do that. You just do them. And like you said, that thing where Jason, you would have been a better advisor than whoever Biden has. and all that.
That's
that
not
advice,
much of a compliment.
It's probably not, but it may not be. It may or may not be. But I mean, it's solid advice. Don't tell them who you're going to nominate. Just say I'm going to pick the best nominee, and then if it happens to be a black woman, then that's fine if that's what you intend. But don't broadcast it ahead of time ever. You just don't do that, and there you have it.
It's funny because you mentioned broadcasting. We're literally in a war now, potentially, because Biden projected that, hey, if you just have a minor incursion, we might not do anything.
Exactly.
Right.
Broadcasting your intentions. But there's a little issue here. I'm sorry.
Can I just say one more thing, Leon, just about that whole thing? Is that I can understand that you would never want Joe Biden to be the one deciding what to say, but is it gotten to this point here where he doesn't even have advisors that are strong enough to take over and say, look, you can't be doing this, can't be doing this. Here's what you're going to do. What's going on? Is it that just haphazard there that they're actually letting Joe Biden do what he wants to do? Is that the
maybe
deal?
There's no ice cream truck rolling by that they can divert them. Joe, there's the ice cream truck. Go chase.
All right. I'm sorry, Leon. Go ahead.
No, it's no problem. But there's a serious issue here that I really want to raise, and it's somewhat offensive to me, okay, personally. So I'm a little biased on this. But this is how you see these racists in the Democratic Party. This is how they poison accomplishment of blacks. Okay. Now, this woman may indeed be eminently qualified. I don't think she is, but she may be. Okay. She has some things that she could point to that suggests some qualification. But Joe Biden have poisoned it by saying he's going to pick a black woman. So what the rest of us is going to think? That the only reason you pick her because she's a black woman, not because she's eminently qualified. But this is how this affirmative action and all these other things, these set-aside programs have for minorities, this is how it poisons our qualifications and our hard works and our experience. It just poisons it. So every time somebody look at me or look at somebody who looks like me, they're going to think, oh, affirmative action got him here. And every time we make a mistake, which we will do, oh, it's because he really didn't get through school properly. It was affirmative action that got him through school. It just poisoned our experience and our hard work. That's what it does. And I hate it, quite frankly.
And to be honest, I mean, this really gives you an insight into Biden's thinking. And quite frankly, the racism there and the racism among many of his supporters, the fact that he feels he needs to advertise that, the fact that he feels he needs to say, I am going to nominate a person because they're black and a woman is just insane. I mean, if you truly want to go out there and focus on that, then don't insult your supporters by saying that's unless that's racism isn't an insult to them. Maybe they're proud of that, and maybe that's part of the problem. I'm not sure, but it's pretty crummy. But there's other kind of crazy stories that have gone on with the Supreme Court in the last several months or so. One of them was actually a COVID story, and it has to do with sort of a mask issue and sort of a misinformation issue too as well. And so this is kind of an interesting story. Apparently Sotomayor is sort of ultra concerned about masking up in the court. And so she had some concerns, and I guess she says that she might have expressed these to the Chief Justice. And so for some reason or other, that message didn't work its way to all the other justices, I guess. And so one of the justices who thinks this is apparently a bit of nonsense is Gorsuch, apparently. And so Gorsuch,
yes.
Yeah, and so Gorsuch was not masking up, but he also hadn't been alerted about the issue either, that one of his other justices wanted him to mask up. So it was sort of an issue. And so the way NPR, though, reported it is that, and I don't have this is a story that's kind of sat in our bin for a while, so I can't quite remember the exact quote, but the issue was that they were saying that this was an issue of Gorsuch trying to disrespect Sotomayor, and he had never actually been told about it. And so one of the crazy things was that after this was, all of the justices had come out essentially that were involved and openly said that this was just a miscommunication issue, and that, this hadn't been relayed, and that, Sotomayor wasn't, bitter about Gorsuch at all. NPR refused to back off the story. So even though the justices were telling them this is, you got the story wrong, they refused to back off of it. And that's kind of more the bigger scandal, that the media is going to sit there and tell their viewers what the truth is, despite what the actual critical sources are to the story.
Yes.
I mean, these are the sources, the main sources, right? It's not somebody who works for Sotomayor. Sotomayor herself is saying it. Gorsuch himself is saying it, and Chief Justice Roberts is literally saying it. That those are the sources, right? So it's kind of crazy. What do you guys think about this one?
Well, I think it's a national disgrace that NPR is funded by my tax dollars. Okay, that's what I think to start with. Okay, but on this particular story, you see, this is what NPR does all the time. Just because this story makes a conservative quote unquote looks bad, or a Republican quote unquote looks bad, or someone who was appointed by a Republican, Donald Trump in this particular case, and make all of them look bad, they have to stick with the story. Okay, but this is what our tax dollars are doing, and this is why we should stop funding NPR. Now, why do we need to be funding NPR in the first case? Why do taxpayers have to be funding them? We have so many. We spoke about this in the last show. We have so many sources of information right now. We do not need NPR with their government-funded propaganda to be filling our brains with nonsense. Okay, and that's what this story was. It's utter garbage. That's what it really was. It was a simple miscommunication, and look at how they blew it up. And that's what our tax dollars are doing. We should stop funding these people.
Wow, I can't add to that. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, I agree. What can I say? Other than, again, another source that I can't get reliable information from. Oh, I'm shocked. But, but again, about Leon's point about, okay, I'm not really shocked, but I don't want to pay for them either. I don't want to pay for them to give me disinformation.
Exactly.
Why? I mean, it's already, if I want to pay for disinformation, I'll just subscribe to CNN, but that's all my own recognizance. That's my own decision. That's not something where NPR gets to suck that money right out of my pocket before I even get it, through taxes.
CNN better than satire. That's what their pitch line is.
And the New York Times. Let's see. I had it in my mind. Now it went away. See how fast that happened. Never mind. I'll think of it.
Well, let's get on to Libertarian Corner, and this time, what I wanted to, it's at the courts, and actually, there's an image for the latest thing, so we'll jump to that when we get to Knuckle and Noise Patrol. But our Libertarian Corner, one of the issues that comes up constantly in front of the court is, the issue of originalism versus a living document. And so, essentially, to give you just a little bit of background, is the Constitution something that we should be sort of actively interpreting to the times, or should we be treating it like a contract where the words are very precise and try to tie them to the meaning at the time that they were penned? And it's kind of one of those things. Scalia was certainly a person who everybody noted as an originalist, sort of the poster boy for originalism, but some of the more liberal justices are ones that you would much more associate with the living document, where it's sort of what would you like it to say? But it's a kind of a tough question though, because the knee-jerk reaction might be to say that, well, clearly a contract, you want it to mean exactly what it's supposed to mean, but there are some words in there that are like, unreasonable. But the idea of, what is it? Unreasonable. Oh, gosh, I can't even remember.
Unreasonable search and seizure.
Yeah. Okay. So it's unreasonable search and seizure, and the issue with punishment as well. Which I'm pulling a Biden
cruel
right
and
now.
unusual punishment.
Cruel and unusual punishment. Exactly. So I mean, these are two. They're clearly open to interpretation. So what do you guys think about this?
All right, can I start?
Of course,
I know Leon's
of course.
got it.
I've been going first all the time, so go, please.
Okay. I'm going to use the word regulated, as in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So when they said well-regulated, they were referring not to the current meaning of the word regulated, like regulation, but to the proper function. In other words, you had a well-regulated clock, for example. In other words, it told the right time. It functioned properly. So if you had a well-regulated militia that was necessary to the security of a free state, it was one that functioned well. Okay, it was not regulated by the gods from on high, the government goons, the jackbooted thugs. That's not what it meant, you moron. So here's the thing. If it's a document written the way it was written back when it was written, it is the meaning of the words at the time. So it's an original meaning that is at stake here, okay? And to understand it, you have to understand the original meaning. All this living, breathing nonsense is like, I go to your house to play Monopoly. I get $400 when I go around Go, and you only get $200. Why? Because it's the living, breathing rules in Monopoly, and I just get to change them because I'm your guest. Okay, I get 400, you get 200. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Okay, how do you like me now? Liberal, Democrat, whatever, progressive, nincompoop. Go ahead, Leon.
I don't understand how the Constitution could be a living, breathing document. I really don't understand that. This is a contract.
Because you're not a progressive nutcase. That's why
obviously
you can't understand
it. Tim, I'll have to take that as a compliment.
You should. It was meant that way.
Because this is a contract between the government and the governed. And the governed is all of us. Okay? And the government cannot willy-nilly change the terms of the contract without going through the process that is embedded in the document as to how to change, if there's something that we think need changing or need addressing. Yeah. There's a process that's embedded there by our founders.
Well, and just to jump in there, Leon, that actually allows it to be a living document within the rules of the contract itself.
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it could be a living, breathing document if you use the process that's in the contract. Okay? But these morons, as using Tim Wood, want to tell us that some judge sitting behind his desk could just willy-nilly decide, well, I don't like those words as it was written. So let me give you the words that I think that should have been there. I am saying to you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, if we ever fully endorse this living, breathing document, fully endorse the Constitution as a living, breathing document, we are talking about the death of our republic. Because then anyone can change the meaning, any judge can change the meaning of our rights. What if one judge wake up one morning and decide, well, free speech, which is in the First Amendment, does not mean what is in that document? What if somebody decides that? What are we going to say then? Then we're going to object to this living, breathing concept? This is the death of our republic. If this ever be if we ever endorse this concept of a living, breathing document.
It does.
Yes,
really
I agree. I'm sorry, Jason. If I can say one more thing, progressives, liberals, they hate the Constitution. They absolutely hate it. Why? Because it shackles. Its law is about the government. It's on the government. Is to limit the government, to give it certain powers and certain. What's the word? The opposite of powers is. I can't think of it. Where
limitations, restrictions.
No, it's not. It'll come to me.
No.
We both got Bidenitis today.
God, we do. Must be rubbing. I don't even watch that guy ever speak either. I don't know what I'm 70. That's it. So, so of course they want it to be living and breathing so that it can just change to their whims, whenever they want to, because they hate it and they don't want to be restricted in any way. So there you go. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, Jason. You have something else.
Well, I was just going to segue here, but this does show the importance too, though, of making sure that words are very precise when you put them into a contract, and that's why things like unreasonable and cruel and unusual are very, are the types of things that should be avoided. You really need to, get down to the nuts and bolts of what you mean. But government often uses some very odd words in trying to talk about what they're after. And I think that's our knucklehead noise patrol that we want to jump into right now is, maybe we can get the image up for that now. And that's that recently there was kind of a kerfuffle about FEMA apparently updated their pages not too long ago. It turned out it was back in 2020, I guess, during the pandemic. But they actually updated their page for what to do during a nuclear explosion. And so under their get inside, area, they actually put in the following language that kind of showed how concerned they were about COVID during a nuclear blast. And they said, try to maintain a distance of at least 6 feet between yourself and people who are not part of your household. If possible, wear a mask if you're sheltering with people who are not part of your household. I mean, it's just like, this is a nuclear war, and you're literally, worried about something like this. But even more to the point, the idea that during COVID, they were going around to all of their pages and inserting this kind of language, because I mean, back in 2020, the idea that they're running around trying to think, well, what would happen if there's a nuclear war while we have COVID? so this really shows you, I think, some of the silly that's gone on. There was one other odd aspect to this story too, and we might just go just a little long here. But one of the other aspects to the story was that I guess conservatives had tried to call this out. Some, anyways, had tried to call this out as a Biden thing, and it actually wasn't. This was something that happened during the Trump administration. However, this is clearly Trump and his CDC and FEMA. They were not on the same page on a lot of this stuff. So I mean, these people are clearly the same people who are calling the shots now that were then, and within those organizations. And that's the kind of the real scandal of it, and the idea that they're focusing on who exactly was president. They should be a little more focused that our government is running around and changing things like this. You guys have any thoughts on this?
It never ceases to amaze me, these people, I guess right now there's a war going on in Ukraine, and people it's not nuclear war, but it's a war all the same. People are in fear of their lives, and they're hiding all below ground in the tunnels for the trains and all kind of stuff. All over the place they're hiding from the bomb. I guess FEMA would tell them, make sure you wear a mask and make sure you're separated by 6 feet. I guess that should be the most important thing, rather than trying to save your lives from a bomb that's fallen from the sky. These people are insane. And now they want to tell us if there's nuclear war, this is what we should be worried about. We shouldn't be worried about saving our children or grandchildren. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you don't catch COVID in the process. What sickness is this? What insanity?
Well, I tried to look that word up. I couldn't find it. It's the powers and disabilities of the government. That's what the Constitution it enumerates, the powers and the disabilities, which is what they cannot do. And so the progressives hate that. Oh, what you telling me? The little document from 200 years ago tells me I can't do something? Baloney! I'm going to do whatever I want to do because I am despot. I love despotism. I love tyranny. I love to tell people what to do. And I'm sorry, what were we talking about? Oh, the people in the bomb shelters worried. Yeah, never mind that. Never mind that radiation outside your concrete bunker there. Never mind that. No, we're worried more about what you may have brought into the bunker than what's lurking on the outside of the bunker. Okay, that would kill you right away. Hey, at least the radiation kills you quicker.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm almost surprised that when this whole thing with Ukraine started up, that Biden's you know, didn't start off by sending the masks.
Well, remember, Jason, no. You shouldn't be surprised at that. Remember, this guy said there's no such thing as as an invasion if there's a minor incursion, you know? So, hey, why would he be surprised?
Well, I think we've about exhausted all of our material for this week, but I'm sure Biden will radiate some crazy stories for next week.
Radiate. See how he used that word there? Radiate.
Also, you can be sure we'll be back next week with more stories of the collapse, I guess you might call it at this point. But until then, do your best to stay free, and we'll see you at the next one.
Indeed.
So long.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.